The following program is a production of Pioneer Public Television.
In this episode of Postcards,
I believe so much in the power that music has in people's lives.
Well, I get out here almost every day, sometimes not all day, but at least for a little while. It definitely helps. Everyone should do something.
People, the Latinos in Morris and in our community, really want to be heard and want to be represented and are interested in doing things with us.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yekel Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.
I grew up with music. I was involved starting mostly in 8th grade. I started playing the drums at a really young age, and I picked up guitar maybe 11 or 12 and started playing. But I really got involved in music itself and the music scene at the school and everything. In 8th grade, I joined our show choir at Lac Parle, and from there it was just an instantaneous love. It's like when you figure out something that you're good at and something that you have passion for, and you can just go from there. And that was really, for me, I'd struggled before to find what meant a lot to me and what I really wanted to do. So I found the music scene really fitting for me, and I started singing, I started doing a little bit of dancing, not really a little bit, not a lot of dancing. But I really started to involve myself as much as I could. I started writing my own music, guitar, piano. I played in a couple of different bands, and it's always been like a secondary home away from home for me whenever I'm on the road, because I've been to, I think, like 35 or 36 states. I've been to Germany and several different countries in Europe. And whenever I'm away from home, it's like I can just pick up a guitar and feel good, feel comforted by the fact that I still have music. That's kind of what it's always been for me. I heard about the Young Americans the summer after my senior year of high school. I was already accepted and enrolled in a music school in Minneapolis, and something inside me told me that this was a better way to go, and I really wanted to perform, and I really wanted to work with kids, and I wouldn't have been doing any of that at the other school, and so I just felt personally in myself like this was the better option. The Young Americans started 53 years ago now as a strictly choral organization. We are credited as the first swing choir, the first show choir, so the first people to take a choral sound that's on the risers, standing in suit and ties, and add a little movement, add a little rhythm, maybe a full band, that type of sound. So we're credited as the first show choir. And from there, it's the pathway that the Young Americans has taken as an organization has changed incredibly. We used to do a lot of TV specials with Bing Crosby, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, just big names like that. And a lot of TV, a lot of networking type of stuff. And about 22 or 23 years ago, we noticed as an organization that the music programs, music education in high schools and elementary schools was getting cut. There was budget cuts happening, and the first thing to go was the extracurricular arts, music, theater, drama, everything like that. And we feel so strongly, again, as an organization that, I mean, we've witnessed, and I've witnessed, the power of music in people's lives, not just kids, not just adults, but every walk of life, every race, every gender, everything. So to change the focus a little bit, we dove into music education. We started last year Turn Up the Music campaign because we are a nonprofit organization and we are all about giving back, and so we thought to ourselves, why not give back monetarily? So we came up with a Turn Up the Music campaign, and it's a campaign to keep music alive in schools across the nation and across the world. And what the Turn Up the Music campaign is there's blocks of however many kids register, and for each section of how many kids, we give back a certain amount of money to the school, to the music program. And so what that does is it allows teachers to purchase new music, instruments, equipment, so that the kids can have an all-around better, more professional experience in music. And it's just another way that we've found that we can give back and support music even further. We focus on singing, dancing, and acting. We have an hour-long show of material that we teach the kids, and they're divided up into 3 age groups. So some kids learn things individually, some kids learn things as a small group or a big group, but it's an hour worth of material. It's a variety show. We have music from today and the past 50 years, and we like to reach out and make sure that we have material that every kid will appreciate, or that at least one kid will appreciate every style of music that we have. But they learn it's all singing, it's all dancing, it's all acting. We don't divide them up into who dances, who sings. Everybody does everything, which gets pretty interesting sometimes. And it's fun to see the kids that say they're never going to sing a solo or sing in a choir. It's really cool to see how their attitudes and how their minds change after even just 1 or 2 hours. I've been trying for years to get the Young Americans to come here ever since I joined. And now that the cast is actually here and they've done the workshop and the show is happening, it's such a collision of 2 worlds. Because I was so involved in the music scene here, and then when I went to California with the Young Americans, it's a whole other style, a whole other feeling. And so this is the world, the Young Americans, that I've known for 3 years, and this is the world that I grew up in, and they're combined. And the things that I drive around, like the statue of the Lutefisk in Madison, and we drove by on the bus, and I got to show all my friends, this is where I grew up, and this is my community. That's where I went to eat at the After 5. That's where I played on the playground, and this is where my elementary school was. And I got to share that with some of my greatest friends and people that I've been to Germany with and across the United States with. And to see them affecting the lives of the kids that I've seen grow up is the most incredible gift. I've been sitting and watching the workshop happen, and I meant to jump in and help and be a part of the workshop, but I get so caught up in watching the incredible change that's happening that I kind of forget to jump in. I just to take witness to the change that I've been a part of and see it in my own community is the greatest gift. I believe so much in the power that music has in people's lives. I've seen it heal physically, mentally, emotionally. I've seen people come from an awful place and now they have a new light within themselves. And so I believe so powerfully in the power that music has in people's lives that for me, it's not about earning money. It's not about being famous. It's not about signing autographs or being under the lights on a stage. All that stuff is, I mean, it's nothing to me. The fact that what I love to do can change someone's life for the better, that's all that matters to me. And if I'm singing or if the Young Americans are performing for a crowd of 1,000 people and one singular person is affected, then we've done our job. And that's what it comes down to for me. It's too many people get wrapped up in the flashbang of performing, and if you take time to just realize what you can do with it, I think that's the most important part.
Started construction work in North Dakota on May 7th, 1957. And I worked in the same construction company until December 12th, 1999, and then retired, which is going on 15 years, I guess, now. It started out as a joke. I made a tree for a couple in Henning who were getting married, and we figured they should have a family tree. So I made the crazy thing and we set it up in their yard while they were away on their honeymoon, put lights on it. After that, someone suggested the tree should have a dog, so I made the dog. After that, I thought, well, maybe I should make something a little bigger and better, and I settled on making that Bigfoot. And everything else is after that. Well, the inner frame, the heavier part, is iron that people give me. A lot of times it'll be old boat lifts or docks or close to anything, a lot of pipes. And the rods to make the shapes, I have to buy that. And the outside, I brought a lot home when I was still working, but my son still does that kind of work, so he brings home these scraps. And the lawnmower blades I get from all over. While I'm working on a project, I don't want to start a second one until I'm finished with the first, otherwise something gets left. So I'll be thinking of different things, but when it comes time to build something else, and by then I'm gone through several ideas, whatever works out then. Well, I get out here almost every day, sometimes not all day, but at least for a little while. It definitely helps. Everyone should do something. Just sitting watching TV or sleeping isn't the answer. I'm working on a sheep to go along with the shepherd that I just finished. And where they're going, I'm not sure. The community is very supportive of what I do, enough so that they will help and even help pour cement when we need a base for something and help to move it, help painting. Well, that was started by about a dozen people who needed a convenience store in town, and so they got together and built it and thought they should have something around there, and so I moved in a couple of items, and as I've built them, I've put in more and more, and they finally decided to call it Nyberg Park. It was kind of a gradual thing. I have a daughter who is an astronaut, and I made an astronaut and put in the park, but I think that's about 14 years ago when that happened. A few of the sculptures are made of lawnmower blades, and the way that started was a neighbor asked if I needed old lawnmower blades. Well, I turned nothing down. I said, sure. So one day here, there's a whole bunch of blades laying on my step, and now I had to figure out what to do with them. It wasn't enough to build anything, so then I had to start saving more blades, rounding up blades, and finally decided on the elephant. And the reason for the elephant, or one of the reasons, was that there's no small parts on the elephant. A lawnmower blade is real hard to work with, so big legs, big body, everything was pretty gradual bends. That's the way it came about. When I built that big foot, I had it in here, and no one knew. I worked on it for 2.5 years in just my spare time, an hour now and then. And I didn't tell anyone until about the last half a year. The wife didn't even know. I thought early on, if I would have told somebody, they'd put me in a straitjacket, building a stupid foot. Pretty crazy, but now I can get by with anything. A lot of them are weird. Like a coffee cup, you know, standing on the stream of coffee. They're all kind of silly, I guess. I always liked making things where I didn't have to duplicate it. Repetition isn't something I like. I really don't have a favorite. A lot of folks will ask me, but I don't. They're all have their special meaning. They've all taken quite a while to build and so on. If there was one that was more difficult than the rest, I think it would have to be that square knot. And whether that was just because it was one of the early ones or it is just that difficult, I can't really explain that, but it was quite challenging. Well, this square knot right here was probably one of the most difficult ones I had to build. And I had to start in two places, at the bottom of course, and then get the twists to look the same from both sides, which was quite challenging. My son suggested that I build a football, and this is what I came up with. And the thing is about 16 feet tall, and the ball itself is made of 699 lawnmower blades. We've had Watermelon Day in Vining, a third Saturday in August. And there was several years, the older ladies around town would ask me when I was going to make a watermelon. Well, I had thought of different things, but I wasn't satisfied with whatever I was thinking of. So finally I decided to make that. That's the reason for it. It's good that people are interested in it and they appreciate it. A certain amount of people anyway even tell me that they appreciate what I'm doing. So it makes it worthwhile that way.
I am originally from a small town in rural Minnesota, in southern rural Minnesota, and so I remember growing up as a young child, being in school with lots of recently arrived Latino immigrant students, and just seeing kind of at a young age the kind of seclusion and the separation between the two different groups. That oftentimes would be broken down in middle school, but then oftentimes not. Seeing that, growing up in school and having a lot of really close Latino friends, it just seemed like this was the same thing that had been happening here at Morris, and so it seemed only natural to get involved in the Latino community here.
Conseguirte, necesito una fortuna, que debo bajar el cielo, las estrellas y la luna, yo no bajaré la luna, ay, ni las estrellas tampoco.
Estar en el prairie just literally means being on the prairie, just a mix of Spanish and English, and so estar is the more temporary word, or word that means to be, so we used estar just because the prairie is changing a lot right now, and so with that word it carries some of the dynamic nature of what's going on here. So the two main goals that we had were, one, to just document the Latino population in the Morris area. So the reason we chose this type of photography with the people holding signs is that it allowed the people in the pictures to actually tell a little bit of their story. And so the second goal then was that each photographer would have a different participant that they were paired with, and those two people would hopefully form a relationship. And so it was a way to take about 30 people in the community and immediately start some form of contact, some form of conversation, in hopes that that would continue.
Each family was very different in the sense of course, location and different times throughout the season that I did them, because I did them a few months apart, and just the different views of the cultures that they held, even being in Morris, Minnesota, because each family kind of held onto a different aspect of it, maybe even to different extremes, you could say. So that was really interesting, and being able to incorporate that in each family's photograph was very nice for me.
I wanted to get involved in this project because I think the integration between the Latinos in Morris and especially between the students on campus, but people in the community in general, is really important. Just because we're all living in the same place, we all have different backgrounds, especially the students who come here from different places. We're all new here, and so it's really important that we know each other and get along. People, the Latinos in Morris and in our community, really want to be heard and want to be represented and are interested in doing things with us. Even though I don't speak very much Spanish, it was fun just to get to know somebody so different and to try to understand him, and it worked out.
The statistic that we use is from 2000 to 2010. The Latino population in Stevens County specifically increased by about 274%. And that's pretty true across a lot of rural America. And that might not be specifically Latino in other states, but immigration to rural areas is huge right now. You hear the common story of rural populations dying, like young people are moving to the cities, the other people in the communities are aging, and so we have these vacant towns. But really, if you look at the statistics, the numbers of people are actually pretty stable, and that population loss of young people is being completely offset by immigrant population, which is pretty amazing.
Really, for these communities to survive, it's like we gotta embrace this. You know, these guys someone's got to step up to lead these communities into the future. It's going to be much more diverse, and we really need to bridge the communication barriers that are currently present.
I am from El Paso, Texas, born and raised. My family, however, is from Mexico. My sign says, I am thankful to be receiving an education. I hope people can see that there are more to Latinos than what they think about us. We come from many different places and many have different stories. I would love to see more interaction between the Morris community and the Morris community that are Latinos, and I hope this project does influence that. At the opening reception for Estar in the Prairie, it was nice to see everybody having a great time and enjoying themselves.
The reception that we had for Sorrento Prairie here in Morris was wonderful. It was a lot bigger than we ever expected it to be. And it was a really great example of the whole community, again, coming together. The Latino women's group here did a lot. They made 1,200 tamales, which were delicious, and they sold them here. And we had a ton of people here. We heard from a few people that it was more people attended the event than had ever been in the PRCA at one time before. And so that was really exciting for us to hear, just because the point of the reception was to get a bunch of people in the same room from the community that didn't really know each other and sort of force them into the same room to start conversations. And so it was really exciting to have that many people here.
I think it's always difficult, speaking truly and honestly, to create a setting where you can get the kind of more permanent established community members, the university community members, and then the Latino community members together. It's difficult. I think we did have a good mix though, which is really speaks volumes. And I think in the future we would like to have these pictures in places where more people can continually see them. It's not like in Morris, there's just like blatant, outcry of racism by any means. No, what really there is kind of a silence of misunderstanding, and we're trying to break that silence. And one way to perhaps bridge that silence is to put a family story on the wall. This is a family. It's universal.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yackel Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore Alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.